Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here at my next Airspeed Reads Naruto video. This one's going to be for Volume 8, which is called Life and Death Battles. Here's our cover page, pretty nice image of Sakura in her kimono. And yeah, we cover 9 chapters here, 64 to 72. We have Lord Hokage's message, life and death battles, Sakura's advice, unholy gifts, blood of the Uchiha, the deadly visitor, the one who dies, the insurmountable wall, and rivals. So yeah, this is a really good volume because obviously we get just the very end kind of conclusion of the previous exam, the Forest of Death. You know, they open the scrolls, Iruka appears to them, and then we start off the preliminary round before the proper round 3 of the tuning exams, because there's too many people. They have to whittle them down by doing preliminary battles. So we get a couple of those fights in this volume, which is really cool because I think this is probably the volume where Naruto just like really takes off. Like, you're finally getting to see a lot of different powers. A lot of people fight just one-on-one, see what the action's like, and it's really cool. And like, as well as that, you know, behind the scenes, like Orochimaru is doing some stuff with Sasuke, Kakashi. So there's some important stuff here in addition to just kind of exam-style fights. So yeah, I really like this volume, absolutely. And I think, you know, just from here, I think the series just gets better and better as it goes on. And the first and second exam are a little slow, but I think the third exam really kind of gets things going. And once we start to get into the kind of attack on Konoha plot, it's really good. So yeah, let's get into this. So yeah, we finished last volume with them finishing the exam. They walk in, they're just about to open both scrolls. They do it, and they see that it says basically like human or mankind, person basically on it. And then out of nowhere, it summons a person, and it's Iruka, and he basically just says, you pass. They kind of reveal the whole idea of, look, if you open them up in the middle of the exam, we'd appear before you and knock you out, but if you open them up at the end, we'd appear before you and congratulate you on passing. That's the whole idea here, how they would stop people from cheating. And then he just explains to them the whole idea of, you know, if qualities of heaven are what you lack, and that thing, the whole idea of the heaven and earth scroll. And he kind of uses Naruto and Sakura as an example that Naruto, you lack the qualities of heaven, of the mind. You need to train to become more intelligent, even though you have the earth qualities in you, like you're physically strong, you've got good stamina. Sakura, on the other hand, has really good heaven qualities in that she's super intelligent, but is lacking in the earth department. She does need to kind of train harder to build up her stamina and physical attributes. And then I really like the way they do the other ones, where like if you contain both, you know, like missions, however dangerous, will be no mission, however dangerous, will be a wrong path for you. And they kind of have that over Sasuke, who seems to have both, in that he's reasonably intelligent, he's excellent physically. He doesn't have as much stamina perhaps as Naruto, and isn't as intelligent as Sakura, but he's like a balance of the two, and he's like gifted. But because of this whole Avenger thing, you get the idea that maybe these missions aren't for him. So like it's not a perfect kind of I suppose mantra all about being a ninja. But yeah. Then you just get this idea that you know, he said, you know, the third exam's coming up, and I'm worried about you guys. You know, make sure you're safe, especially in this next part of the exam. And I really like how Naruto's just like, look, I'm not a student anymore. There's no need to worry about me. You know, I'm impulsive and full of energy, but I'm not a kid. And Iruka just has this kind of flashback to basically what he was making a big fuss about in like the previous volumes. That, why, Kakashi, have you put them up for these exams? They're going to get killed, hurt, they're not ready, it's too soon. And here, seeing Naruto very confident after they've passed the exam, he kind of realizes he was wrong to doubt them, that he was their teacher during their kind of schooling, you know, in the academy. Kakashi's their teacher now and knows their limits more than anyone else, and so he's kind of really goes to trust Kakashi's, I suppose, opinions on his former students, and as well as that, I suppose, have a lot more faith in Naruto especially, and the other two as well. So just a really nice moment, just establishing that he very much is that kind of father brother figure to Naruto, and he does really care for him, but has been a little overprotective, and we're kind of seeing that here. But yeah, we immediately cut after a little bit of just focusing on Anko, that her curse mark is acting up with Orochimaru around, that she's also someone who has survived getting the curse mark, and but it's still a struggle. So she actually plays an interesting role, given that Sasuke has a first fight coming up, in that he's struggling with the curse mark, and she can basically explain to us the details of what's happening there. We get a really cool double-page spread of basically every character that's involved in this situation, all of the rookies, everyone who's passed, all 21 characters, and all the Jonin and stuff like that, the Chunin that are organizing the exams. But yeah, then very quickly, just get some rivalries being established, everyone kind of glancing at each other. We get introduced to the Sand Jonin and stuff like that Orochimaru's there, but with a different face on undercover. Nice little moment where Hinata sees that Naruto's passed, and she's really happy about it. And just a lot of just setup here for this exam, and then Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Hokage, arrives on the scene to explain the purpose of the exams, basically, and what the third exam is. Now, this is where it slows down a little bit. This was a little bit of a kind of slog to read through this chapter in a bit, of him just explaining the kind of secret purpose of these exams. That yes, and it is an exam to establish who are ninjas worthy to become Chunin, but there's more to it than that. That in this exam, you are not battling for yourself, you're also battling for your country, for your village, and this will have a huge impact on the kind of balance of power within the world. Whereas the countries whose ninjas do well in these exams tend to get a lot of kind of job offers, basically, that a lot of the people looking for ninjas to kind of hire for missions, like we obviously saw with Tazuna in the Land of Waves arc, that if the Konoha rookies do well, they'll get tons of missions like that, and they'll be really successful. Whereas if a bunch of ninjas from a certain village do poorly, they're not going to get much work, and so they're going to struggle. And so which ninjas here do well in this part of the exam are really going to determine which are the more powerful nations going forward. And that's a really interesting idea. It takes a long time, a lot of dialogue to get to that, but it is an important thing to get across right now, that yes, it's about friendship and coming together to keep a balance of power within the ninja world and stuff like that, but just a little bit wordy, and because there's so much dialogue and it's just him talking to everyone else, there's not a lot that you can really do with the art to really get it across that this is big stuff. You just cut away to various rookies, Sakura says something, Naruto says something, Gaara speaks up a little bit, but for the most part, visually, this section isn't all that great. But it gets across a nice point, just this idea that there's more on the line than just each ninja's personal growth. But yeah, then Hayate Gecko steps up. He's the proctor for this one-on-one stage of the exam, and yeah, just explains to them that there's preliminary exams, and says, look, this is where it's going to get really serious. If you want to leave this exam now's the time to do so. Only one person puts their hand up, and that is Kabuto. So he leaves, and Naruto is shocked, because they'd sort of made this promise that they'd stick together and they'd settle things in the kind of final stage of the exam. But Kabuto's left, and a lot of the proctors are kind of he's kind of done this before. There's something up with him, that he has tried the exam so many times but seems to quit at the last moment. He roughly explains it away by saying that yeah, after the initial attack, I've kind of been deaf in one of my ears, and you get some kind of inner dialogue referencing the fact that, okay, I don't need to be here anymore. Orochimaru is undercover. He's watching this. I don't need to be here and force myself into battle when I don't need to. So he's being clever here, not putting himself into an unnecessary fight. But yeah. So yeah, after that, yeah, before obviously before the kind of selection of like who's going to leave and not participate in the exams, you do have a moment where Sakura begins to get very concerned about Sasuke. She thinks he should quit out of this section of the exams because of the curse mark. She can see it's really hurting him. Naruto, obviously at this point, still isn't aware of the curse mark and what's going on there, but Sakura obviously saw it completely, what happened, what he did with it, how it changed him, and how it's affecting him now. And it's a really nice moment because you see her get very upset. She kind of cries a bit. It really gets across how much she like cares for Sasuke. That, like I said last volume, it's not just a crush for her. It is that she honestly deeply cares for him, and I like that they get that across here. With her really caring for his well-being going into this section of the exam. Um, but yeah, she's about to tell them, and he gets a little bit forceful. Grabs her arm to stop her putting her hand up and saying it, and just says like, keep your mouth shut, don't tell anyone about it. Not even Naruto, and it's my burden to bear alone. I'm an avenger. That coming back again. That above all else, that this is the thing he keeps coming back to. That he's an avenger. He doesn't care if he becomes Chunin or not. He just wants the power to be strong enough to defeat his brother, who I don't think we've got his name just yet, Itachi, but that'll happen eventually. Really nice moment, obviously, when he's like, look, this is where I need to test myself against all of these powerful genin. And he goes to he goes around the thing and he's just like, okay, I want to fight Neji, I want to fight Rock Lee, I want to fight Gaara. I also want to fight you, Naruto. And that's a big moment. Obviously, Naruto really proved himself towards the end of the second part of the exam to Sasuke. And now there's a little bit of a rivalry there, that Sasuke feels that he will actually gain something from beating Naruto, and that there's actually somewhat of a test there. So I like that. And while this is all happening, I like that the Jonin are kind of discussing amongst themselves with the Hokage, like, should we allow Sasuke to participate? They're aware of the curse mark as well, that's something that he has, and they're like, okay, we'll let him go, but if anything goes out of control, we're stepping in immediately. We're stopping the fight. Kakashi goes over and makes this very clear to him. But yeah, then the fights start, and this is where it gets pretty interesting. Finally, we can discuss some kind of one-on-one fights here, and yeah, the first fight is Sasuke versus Yoroi, who's also one of the members of Kabuto's squad. Yeah, so we have a kind of injured, much less than 100% Sasuke going up against Yoroi, who is revealed to have the power to be able to basically suck someone's chakra out by touching them. And this is like the worst matchup for Sasuke ever here, because he's low on chakra as it is, and the curse mark is kind of limiting him from how he uses it. Like, they establish he can't use the Sharingan in this fight at all. And then most techniques are going to be out of the picture for him as well. So if someone is also sucking what little chakra he has left out, it's going to be a really tough fight for him, as he kind of begins to kind of, he's not doing so well at the start, and Naruto has to kind of scream at him, get going. And it's the first time we've really seen Kishimoto do like a bunch of pages of just action. Like even like the Zabuza Kakashi fight and like Haku and stuff like that, he tended to not go for the like lots of motion kind of trying to get it across in panel to panel, but there's like 6-7 pages of this fight that go on, and I think it comes across quite well. Like, there's obviously the moment where Sasuke kind of slides past an attack, knocks him over, and gets him into this kind of armbar position. It's a really cool kind of way that he manages to get that across. The fact that, okay, he uses his legs to get him down and then grabs him, but that means he's in contact with him, so he can suck his chakra out. The motion is actually got across quite well, and it's fairly clear. It's not like, I wouldn't say brilliant, but it's pretty solid at making you understand how the fight is actually playing out, which is sometimes very difficult to get across in just like comics, manga, that sort of thing. But yeah, obviously Naruto screams at him saying, you're a disgrace, aren't you embarrassed to be doing this poorly in the exam? And because Lee is standing right next to Naruto, and like Sasuke looks up at Naruto when he says this, he notices Lee and remembers that he copied some of Lee's techniques with his Sharingan when they sparred prior to the exam starting. And so he realizes like this is the only chance he has, some really high speed taijutsu, and he does the kind of dancing leaf shadow thing, gets up behind him, and then executes this move, which is obviously the Lion's Barrage, which is a sequence of kicks leading to this like really devastating kind of like axe kick when they hit the ground. And they call it here in the translation Shisharenden Barrage of Lines, which I don't remember them ever referring to it more than just Lion's Barrage. But still, pretty cool panel there. It really gets the impact across that like they were pretty high up in the air, and then Sasuke's just delivered like an axe kick from like that high up, and yeah, he's obviously knocked him out. Sasuke's won his fight, but barely, and then immediately upon being declared the winner, Kakashi takes him off to seal the curse mark and try and fix it. And everyone's impressed. Guy notes that like, like the taijutsu that me and Lee use is very difficult to use. It puts a lot of stress on the body, so it's impressive that he's able to do this, but he kind of compares Sasuke to Kakashi, saying like, oh, you're copying moves and not like training the correct way to do it. Like, oh, like student, like teacher, and stuff like that. You get some of the rivalry coming out here. There's actually a scene I went by earlier on, which was really fun because obviously Guy mentioned that like he was Kakashi's big rival, that he beat him like 50-49 in their fights up to now, and he's a huge rival. And then Kakashi's just like, yeah, I don't really have a rival, and he's just like, he gets really angry at the fact that Kakashi's so cool around him and doesn't really treat him. Kakashi doesn't really treat Guy like a rival, but Guy takes their rivalry super seriously. It's obviously fleshed out a lot more, but still pretty interesting. Next fight is Zaku versus Shino, and this one's pretty brutal. Like, Shino has been, up to now, probably the one of the weaker of the Konoha rookies in terms of his character being established. Like, Kiba, you get that he's very loud. He's louder than Naruto and kind of obnoxious like that. Hinata is very nice, but she's kind of shy and meek. But Shino is just like, who is he? Like, even Naruto mentions that. Like, I don't really have any read on him. I don't have anything to say about Shino in the introduction. But we get here going up against Zaku. Obviously, Zaku has his two arms broken. He reveals at the start he can use one of his hands still and uses attacks. But Shino basically reveals that his technique involves using bugs, which we roughly got before, but we get more of the full extent. He can control bugs and direct them and has complete control over them effectively. And he's using this and says that these are special bugs that have the ability to suck people's chakra out. So if they come in contact with you, you're done. Zaku's kind of dodging everything, but obviously Shino's planned ahead. Even when Zaku reveals that his other arm is actually okay as well, he goes to use his big attack and his arms explode. And it was similar in the anime in the sense of like they definitely got across this idea of this pressure build-up in his arms and like kind of an explosion happening. In that, it was more like just there was like a weak point in his arm and it just kind of ruptured, and they didn't try and do it too gory or anything like that. But the manga is pretty brutal. Like one of his arms is kind of blown off. It's really intense. So I really like how they did that, and that he's a very like it was pretty brutal what like Zaku was doing to Sakura back in the last volume. So him getting his arm blown off is pretty crazy here. So yeah, that's that, and obviously Shino wins his fight in pretty impressive fashion. Like, he instantly goes like right up there as like one of the better competitors, but he's gone under the radar because he hasn't been super confident and saying like, oh, you're my rival. He's just been like, I'm quietly confident in what I can do. And while that fight is taking place, Kakashi has obviously sealed Sasuke's curse mark, and then he's confronted by Orochimaru. And it's really interesting here in that they very much established that the two know each other from somewhere. That they, obviously Orochimaru is from the Hidden Leaf Village and left, he's a rogue ninja, but they seem to establish some sort of a personal connection between Kakashi and Orochimaru, that they maybe don't know each other particularly well, but that they're aware of each other. And Kakashi's very on guard against Orochimaru, and we just get established that Orochimaru is after Sasuke. He's particularly after the Sharingan and, you know, the blood body of an Uchiha, and it's a really cool scene. I think it was done a little bit better in the anime, in the sense of I think the voice acting and the specific translation they used in the anime was a little better than they have here, in that he obviously, the idea here is that Kakashi kind of knows he's not a match for Orochimaru, but he's trying to like use his most powerful attack, Lightning Blade, and he says that even if you are one of those three ninja, the man I am today can take you down. And I like better that the kind of line from the anime. It's a little bit more epic when he says that, you know, like, you know, come one step closer and one of us will die here. It's a really cool line in the anime, but it gets across quite nicely here that Orochimaru just comes in, intimidates Kakashi a little, and leaves. He doesn't attack. He's aware, basically, and just tells Kakashi that you can seal that up all you want, but the way that curse mark works, it's going to feed off, basically, his mentality, how he feels about things. I know his personality. He's an Avenger. At some point, he is going to seek me out and request that I train him, and he will want the power that I possess. And that's a really interesting thing, that he just leaves it like that I don't need to take him now. I don't need to take him by force, because it's going to happen by itself. You can seal it all you want, but I know this type of person. He will come to me on his own. That's really ominous, and given the way Sasuke has acted at points, you kind of roughly believe it. But yeah, obviously with Shino's big fight, they kind of reveal the exact details of like the Aburame clan, and the fact that it's actually that bugs live within him, and there's this relationship where they allow themselves to be controlled by Shino in return for them feeding off his chakra, and that's the relationship between the Aburame clan and bugs. Then we get a really quick fight between Kankuro and Misumi, who's the third and final member of Kabuto's team. And yeah, basically this guy can use chakra to basically dislocate all of his joints, and he can stretch his arms out as well a bit. And yeah, it's basically kind of like Luffy from One Piece kind of here, and he basically just tangles up Kankuro, snaps his neck. They think that he's just killed Kankuro, but it's then revealed that Kankuro is actually a puppet here, and the real Kankuro basically just activates the puppet's abilities. It wraps up this guy and stabs him, and the fight is over in a very short amount of time, and it's revealed that the real Kankuro was actually hidden in the tape where the puppet would usually be. He just switched himself around, and really clever way to do it. And they just established that, like, look, for a puppeteer, their puppet, even though it's a really big piece of equipment, is valid to use in these sort of fights. It's just like a shuriken in that way. So that's pretty nicely done. And yeah, we end the volume then with Ino versus Sakura. That's the big reveal when they randomly select the next pair up, that the two friends are going to go up against each other. And there's a lot of shocked reactions to this. Everyone just being like, oh no, this had to happen, didn't it? These two, the friends, going up against each other. And it's an emotional one, because you know that they're rivals, but you know that deep down it's not this kind of blood rivalry type thing, that it's not super serious to where they want to hurt each other. They just want to prove to each other that they're stronger. And we get the full flashback here, which is really nicely done, of, you know, the very, very meek, not very confident Sakura, whereas Ino is very confident. And they have the comparison with the flowers. Ino, obviously, her family runs a flower shop, and she compares the idea of Sakura right now hasn't bloomed in terms of her being like a flower. Her name is Sakura, you know, meaning cherry blossoms, but she hasn't bloomed yet. And so the idea is kind of like, no one knows how beautiful, you know, she's going to be when she finally does do that. And the implication here is, of course, that Ino is the one who kind of helped Sakura to gain confidence. The ribbon for her hair, gaining a little bit of a confidence about her kind of large forehead, and just little moments like that. It works quite well. And again, it ultimately does come back to Sasuke as well. That fundamentally that's what their rivalry is about, but it's not all about that as well. Like there's the idea as well when they start off the fight that Sakura takes her headband off, which she usually just wears as a kind of hair band type thing, and they basically reveal here that I won't wear my leaf headband across my forehead until the day I can stand up to you as a fully fledged shinobi. So the time has come, and they're finally going to fight properly one-on-one to prove themselves. They're now roughly even, and they both put their headbands on the proper way, like Naruto wears it, and they go at each other. And there's an intensity to this fight that almost no other fight in the series up to now has really had, because they've set up the former friendship, the rivalry between these two quite well. So when Sakura just goes up to her like with the kind of clone jutsu and then just punches Ino full force after some insulting to kind of get each other fired up, it is really intense. And obviously like Kakashi then kind of bigs up Sakura, which I think needed to be done, just talking about this idea that, you know, she may not have the most specialized skills, but probably among all of the rookies here, she has the best mastery over chakra control. And so the basic techniques that she knows, she's using them like perfectly in terms of the cleverness of when she uses those attacks, and the minimalistic chakra that she's using to use them. So she's kind of perfect on that degree. She just obviously, as we got earlier on with Iruka, lacks some of the physical qualities that, say, a Naruto has. So it's really interesting to actually follow her growth to the ultimate fighter that she is, where they use her kind of focus on chakra control to allow her to basically be one of the most physically strong characters in the series. So it's interesting where that ends up going. Yeah, really cool. And like obviously Ino's losing the fight up to now, because of these techniques from Sakura. So she tries to do the same thing Sakura did before, cutting off her long hair to kind of prove that she's not focused on that anymore and that she's very serious. Sakura is kind of confident, she thinks she has it won, that she's really gotten into Ino's head. But in fact, what's happened here is that Ino set a trap here. She's spread her chakra through her hair to trap Sakura, and it works really well. And she does this because she obviously wants to set up her ultimate technique, the mind transfer jutsu, which everyone is like, you're not meant to use this technique in a one-on-one fight. It just can't work. But obviously the fight has been set up in such a way as to where she can do it. She traps it, and she takes control of Sakura. And that's where we basically end the chapter. Yeah, it's Ino is in control of Sakura's body, and she's basically about to use that technique to make Sakura give up. And that's a kind of cliffhanger ending to it, that after a good start of the fight for Sakura, Ino is taken over, and it seems like it's all over. So that's the end of the volume. Really good stuff. Obviously more fights to come, the end of that fight, plus a lot more. So volume awards. Favorite character from this volume, Sakura, absolutely. I think it has to be her. The way they do this stuff with Ino, I think, was really well set up. The way the flashback is done, and the growth of her character, and especially the way Kishimoto writes this, with like some of the characters kind of bigging up Sakura at this point in time, saying what her good qualities are, saying what she still needs to work on. Whereas up to now, it has kind of come across as if she has been one of the weaker characters in the series. So I do like that they establish what her strengths are here very well. So absolutely, she definitely deserves the best character award here. Favorite line, I think, is just the one from Sasuke to Naruto saying, you know, like, you're one of the ones I want to fight the most. It's a big one because ultimately the Sasuke-Naruto friendship and their relationship is the biggest thing in the series, effectively. And so this being the first time that Sasuke really considers Naruto a rival is very big. Favorite piece of art, I'd have to go for this one here. Just this panel in the flashback of the two of them making the agreement to only put their forehead protectors on their foreheads when they will fight each other as equals. I think that's really well done. But yeah, that's the Volume 8 review. Volume 9 review will probably be in just a couple of days. We'll have to see what other videos I'm planning on doing and when it actually comes out. But I want to get back to these after a couple of days of not doing videos. So yeah, that's been the review. Thanks for watching, and bye.